All right. Appreciate everybody coming out today for the first weekly press conference. Again, it'll be on Tuesdays starting next week at 1 o'clock each week. And without further ado, Coach Muschamp.
All right, y'all ready to go? We excited about opening up Thursday night on ESPN in Nashville against Vanderbilt, SEC opponent, SEC East opponent. Derek Mason's in his third year, acts as his own defensive coordinator, does a fantastic job with their defense. Zach Cunningham's a guy that jumps out at you when you watch the tape. But, you know, you watch them play, they're fundamentally sound. They're in the right spots. They have the good run box numbers. Derek just does a really good job fundamentally with their guys. They play extremely hard. They play well on defense. They've got 10 starters back. So they've obviously pretty seasoned in what they're trying to do schematically. Offensively, Andy Ludwig's our offensive coordinator. Interesting background, was more of a spread guy at Oregon and Utah, was more of ground and pound at Wisconsin, and now sort of a combination looking at them, what they do schematically. At Vanderbilt, they got 7 starters back. Obviously, Ralph Webb's a 1,000-yard rusher a year ago and an outstanding player. Shermer's the quarterback, started 5 games from last year and seems very adept at what they do. New coordinator on special teams, a little uncertain about what exactly they'll be there. So as all first ball games, you kind of go in expecting anything and making sure your players are able to adjust to all the different things that pop up throughout the game, because there's going to be some new things and you got to be able to adjust as the game goes, and that's going to be really important, especially us. There's a lot of firsts for our football team, a new staff, a lot of youth and inexperience, but excited about the work ethic and how our guys have approached camp. We started on Vanderbilt Prep last Thursday and practice again this morning. We'll have another practice and a walkthrough on Wednesday, and then we fly up to Nashville. Roster news, Christian Owens has decided to transfer. He came to me last week and felt like he wanted to get closer to home, so I totally understand and support that. Rico McWilliams has decided to give up football, and it's an unfortunate situation, but that's what it is. We move forward, and looking forward to getting up to Nashville and playing there. We do have some injuries. Lorenz Bryant obviously still going to be out with a while with a hamstring. Mon Denson with the knee, and Rico Dowdle with the groin. Kyle Markway will be out this week. I'm hoping to get him back next week for Mississippi State. With the foot. We had obviously the surgery in the off season, and hopefully we'll get him back. And other than that, we're very healthy. I'll open it up for any questions.
Questions, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you, David.
Will, you mentioned all the new faces. Do you look at this game and this season as kind of a blank slate to really experiment and do a lot of things that you could do?
Well, I don't know the word experiment, what I would use. We've put the guys through a tough camp, a very physical camp. We need to put the best 11 out there to give us an opportunity to win games, and that's what we're going to do.
Josh.
When will you tell the quarterbacks who's starting, or have you told them?
Well, we haven't told them anything, Josh, at this point. And Rope and I were going to meet. We practice in the morning, so we haven't had a chance to meet since the morning practice, and we have another opportunity to practice again tomorrow, and we'll discuss that further as we go.
So have you guys made up your mind and just haven't told them yet, or are you still finalizing your decision?
We're still finalizing the decision right now. We've got a pretty good idea where we're headed with it. We just want to, obviously, as many practice opportunities as we can give these guys the best.
Have you nailed down whether or not 2 guys will play yet?
2 guys will play, sure.
2 guys.
Feel that way.
Phil.
Rico's departure, was that related to his earlier absence from the team, and what does his loss mean to your secondary?
Well, yeah, it did relate to the earlier, situation, but we got 4 scholarship corners. 3 of them, Rashad Fenton, Chris Lamons, and Jamarcus King are good players and guys we're excited about. It's not the best situation, but it is what it is. You're not going to hear us complaining about it. So we'll move forward. Stephen Montack would be our 4th corner, and DJ Smith would be our 5th. And so since his departure, we've kind of worked that way. Hey, football's a tough game. It's tough. It's hard. If you don't like to practice and if you don't like to lift weights and do the things you ought to do, you'd be better off flipping burgers at the end of the day. It's a tough game. It's part of it.
Well, as we get closer to Thursday, does this still feel like business as usual to you, or can you sense that, hey, this is another shot to be where I want to be?
Well, at the end of the day, that's why you coach, to go in the venue and go on the road or play at home and play the game. That's why you practice all these practices and you meet and you go through and watch all the film and do the things that you do. So I'm excited for our players, first of all, but I'm also excited for our staff and looking forward to game time.
Your support staff is considered a drastic expansion from what was here before. How much of that is the structure is from what you picked up along your way at the previous stops from what worked there? Or how much is it just seeing what you determine or believe will work here?
Well, I think that, it's something that I've been exposed to, obviously, at some different spots as far as the support staff, whether it's in football support, as far as analyst positions are concerned, whether it's in recruiting, it's in external communications. All of those things are very important to what we do. Everybody's got a job within the organization and a very detailed, job description of what they need to do to help us be successful. And so far, I think things are working very well for us.
Teddy?
Coach, do you know what to expect from your players Thursday night? Are they still some question marks in your mind from some of these players as
You
well?
never know how some of these guys are going to respond when they run out of the tunnel. I may be beating some of them out of the tunnel. So, you don't ever know how a young man's going to respond, and he's never been in that situation, been on national TV in a conference road game in a somewhat uncomfortable situation. So you have an idea. You try and simulate game day as much as you can, but you can never do that. So that's what's exciting about it. That's what's fun about it, to see how those guys respond. And that when you talk in terms of adjustments as a staff, that's part of the adjustments. Maybe a young man isn't responding as well as we thought he would. Maybe he's got the jits a little bit. Those are things we discuss as a staff, and we prepare for injuries. We prepare for someone not playing well, and to have a plan for that when it happens. So that's part of our discussions.
Josh?
How has Brandon McElwain progressed, and as the competition gets closer to the actual season, how has he handled that part of it?
I thought he's handled it very well. I think all three guys have handled this situation very well. Seeing how they've supported each other, how their teammates have supported them and been positive throughout this entire process. I've been overly impressed with all three guys.
First two games on the road, very different environments. Can you kind of contrast the challenges between playing at Vanderbilt versus playing at Starkville?
We're just worried about Vanderbilt right now. We kicked this thing off at 8 o'clock on Thursday night. We're looking forward to playing there.
Will, you said, you don't know how some of these guys will respond in that first game. How much of a leash do you give some of these guys before you pull them out and maybe try the next guy if they're not playing?
Well, again, we're going to make decisions on what it takes to win, and every decision we make within our organization is about winning. So, again, we go into with a plan as a staff at each position to, I always look at it as green light, yellow light, red light players. So green light guys are guys we're going to play no matter what. Yellow light guys, Kurt may need to know offensively this guy's in the game. T-Rod may need to know this guy's in the game. And red light guys are guys we're not really sure we want to play them. They may be a discussion about redshirting, but they are on the trip. They certainly can possibly contribute to our team. But let's have a discussion before they go into the game. So that's kind of how we do it. And so some guys we may anticipate there might be a little, hesitation on their part. So we know that going in. We've got a pretty good idea going in, and that's something that we discuss throughout the week, and we've got a plan for those situations.
So with all the freshman receivers that are listed on the depth chart and guys you've talked about throughout the month, I would assume all those guys are green light
They're all
players.
playing, yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the things that those guys have done to really differentiate themselves?
Well, I think that they're all talented guys, and I think in different ways. Chavis is a very polished guy from the standpoint of playing the receiver position for a long time. Catches the ball really well down the field. Corey Banks is a guy that's got really good top end speed. He's got some things that just naturally running down the field and creates some issues as far as the top of the coverage. Rendrick is probably just all around talent-wise as far as catching the ball, finishing plays, having a natural instincts at the position. He's done a fantastic job. We got to keep him healthy. He's had a little bit of a hamstring. He's fine now. He's been practicing. And then Brian Edwards has had a great camp. So, and a guy that we certainly, obviously being here mid-year, we knew a little bit more about him. Kiel's been a guy that we've moved around from, tight end / receiver. He's going to play. He's going to play a bunch for us. And he's a guy that can do a lot of stuff because he is a bigger body guy, but he's a hard guy for the defense to count. What is he? And that's why we're able to use him in some different spots.
Coach, after sitting out a year from the head coaching ranks, how excited are you to actually just get this thing kicked off after talking about it for months?
Well, I'm really excited for our players and our staff. At the end of the day, that's what it's about, and looking forward to seeing them play on Thursday night.
Standing back to Joe.
Coach, you talked about some of the unknowns that you don't know maybe what to expect from some of your younger players, but how would you describe the personality of this team, and are you confident in the makeup of this group going into a game like this Thursday night national stage?
Well, I think that, I look on our offense, we've got some seasoned guys in the offensive line that have got some talent and some experience in playing, and I think there's a calming factor with that. And so I think for our offense, that's a comforting issue for me, as far as that's concerned. Defensively, Quay Lewis and Kelsey Griffin, although has not started a lot of games, but has played a lot for us. The linebackers are guys that have played, and Chaz and DJ have played a lot. So we've got some guys that do have some experience, and maybe not necessarily as much as you would like, but they've responded very well to all we've thrown at them. We had a very physical, tough camp, and the way they respond, I don't know that we left the practice field. I didn't feel like that the effort wasn't there. There's sometimes our intensity and our urgency is not what I want it to be, but that's something that you just got to continue to drill in them, and hopefully over a period of time they start to get that part of it.
Standing back, Mike.
Coach, how much of a challenge is Kyle Shermer in his second year now that he actually does have some experience from last year?
Well, I think he throws the ball extremely well. Throws the back shoulder ball outside, which we'll see, obviously, because we play on the line of scrimmage a good bit. So, all of those things, has touch on the ball. Looks like he can make all the throws and got good command in what they do. And they certainly improved tremendously offensive when he played for them last year.
Pete.
Well, we know Coach Brayer loved these Thursday night, kick it off early kind of games. Where do you fall on those? Does it matter to you at all, or would you rather just get into that Saturday after Saturday routine?
No, I enjoyed it. I think it's great exposure for our program. Excited about it.
Josh.
Have Taylor and Kelsey played well enough that Marquavius is now back at end, or is that still fluid?
Well, that's pretty fluid. Marquavius gives us some opportunity inside with a better athlete, especially in some pass down situations, 1 minute, third down, those situations. So we'll still slide him in some. That's why we really moved Kier in there to get more athletic inside, because he does give us some initial quickness inside and some push in the middle. But Quay can play inside and out.
The four-man front right now, though, Quay would be on the outside. Your starter on the outside.
First and 10 situations.
Will, have you seen what you needed to see from David Williams since his first couple of rough days in preseason camp?
We'll be a running back by committee. Certainly, AJ's distanced himself to be a guy that deserves to be the starter, and David will have his opportunity.
Rick in the middle.
Well, what's been the most challenging thing for you, going back to when you first took over this program, a program that was down, coming off a 3-9 season, and getting them ready now to play the way that you expect them to play?
Well, Rick, I believe that, that something I hit on earlier, just the intensity and the urgency at times is not what I want. It's not the lack of want to. It's not the lack of trying. But sometimes the attention to detail and those things are frustrating for me a little bit sometimes. A lot of it's the unknown, because we had our first Thursday practice today. I know y'all think it's Monday, it's Thursday. So what we'd have 2 Thursday practices before the first game, and today was the first one. And there was times when we didn't have the attention to detail we needed. And again, it's not a lack of want to, but there's times where the urgency of our team needs to be better.
The morning practices during the season, is that something you've always done, and what is the advantage of that as opposed to afternoon practices?
Well, no, I did it when I was defensive coordinator at Auburn, and I really liked it, and our players loved it when I was at Auburn in 06 and 07. And I've tried to do it in everywhere we've been, or made the suggestion as a coordinator to do it where we've been. Some people don't like it because it does put you as a coach out of your comfort zone a little bit of when you normally do things. Our players really enjoy it because they're not in study hall till 10:30 at night. They have classes in the afternoon. Now, academically, you've got to make sure that your school obviously can have the classes in the afternoon, and nowadays, because there's so many internet classes, a lot of the young men aren't even stepping in the building. They're taking an online class. So it just makes more sense to get them up in the morning. That's why you practice in the NFL. When I was at the Miami Dolphins, we started meetings at 7 in the morning. and you practice and you watch the film and then you lift it and then the guys were done. So it's been something. I think it was a little bit of an adjustment when we first did it in the morning, but after talking to some of the players today at practice, they really enjoy the fact that they've got the afternoon for class or off, and they've got their nights free, and they're not sitting in study hall till 10 o'clock at night. So I think I think they're starting to embrace it.
Will, 2 questions on the offensive line. One is Pellige's punishment been decided?
No, it hasn't.
And 2, with Knott, getting back from that hand injury, will he eventually transition back into center, or do you guys like him at guard?
Well, both, and I think Corey can play both. So we've got a lot of flexibility, and obviously Donnell's had a very good camp, and Zach's had a good camp. So I think we've got a combination of 5 guys in there that can go and rotate and play different spots, and the luxury to be able to have multiple guys that can snap for you is huge, and feel comfortable about that. So right now it's where it sits with Corey at center, but Allen's certainly a guy that can slide in and play there as well.
How tricky is preparing for openers in the sense that you have all this old film and you kind of have to extrapolate how things might have gone through an off season?
Well, again, what you can't do is cover everything. The players have to, and we've explained to them a 1,000 times. There's going to be some things you've got to apply your concepts. You got to apply, the blocking scheme to the front they give you. There are going to be some different things. So expect the unexpected in the first game. So don't get shocked when you get out there and it's something different and it ain't exactly what we repped in practice. That's gonna happen. So as long as the players are able to adjust to that and understand there will be some differences, we don't need to panic. We just need to keep playing. And so that's something we always talk about in first games in those situations, no different from a bowl game situation. Obviously taking care of the football is going to be critical, and special teams. I mean, those are when you haven't done a lot of the live contact on special teams, which are hard to do because of injuries, and especially as thin as we are in some spots. That's always a concerning factor going into a first ball game.
You talked about the use of receiver and then Pollard being able to play at the tight end position. Do you feel like the tight end position, particularly for that reason, is going to be somewhere that could be an asset, or you might utilize a little more early in the year?
Well, there's no question. Hayden and KC and Jacob August has had a good camp as well, and Kiel are 4 guys that we feel really good about, and also the 2 freshmen, Evan Henson and Robert Tucker as well. We don't plan on them playing right now, but certainly are guys athletically that we're excited about. But that's a personnel grouping that's really good for us, and we like to be in that grouping because of the multiple looks we're able to give a defense.
Coach in the back here. Fans count down to Thursday night all summer long. Coaches see game day differently. I feel like some relish them, some not so much. How do you see game day and the start of the season?
I love game day. That's why you practice and you put in all that time and watch all the film to go out in the arena and play. And that's I enjoy seeing the young guys and how they respond, and then seeing their development from game 1 to game 2 and as they improve through the year. And that's one thing about our football team. We are going to continue to improve throughout the year, number one, because of how we practice. Football's a developmental game, and you've got to develop. I mean, they were kind of shocked when earlier in the week, a couple of kids, the older players said, we go good on good a lot. I said, I know. That's how you get better. Iron sharpens iron. We're going to go good on good. Well, I want fastball looks all the time. And we'll get you ready for the scout team. We'll get you ready for the looks that an offense or a defense is going to give us, but you get going good again, good on good. That's how you improve and get better. And because of our youth and experience, we're going to continue to improve tremendously through the year.
Coach, you may have already addressed this with media after practices, so if it's redundant, I apologize. But will you always be in the shotgun? What is some of your philosophy like on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, those type plays?
Well, we have some under center things that we've repped in camp, and situational things that we feel like there are times we need to get under center and have a direct run. So I philosophically totally believe that. The concerning part you have is you're always in the gun, and then for that one snap you're going to go under center. And we practice it every single day, but that's a concerning issue for me from a standpoint we're in the gun so much, and then you're going to go under center. And although we do practice it every single day, it's still concerning for that one snap. And normally that's going to be a critical snap. It is going to be a 3rd and 1, or it is going to be a 1st and goal on the 2-yard line. I mean, those are all situations that we practice, and certainly my philosophical belief is to get under center in those situations, to have more of a direct run. A lot depends on who your running back is. A lot depends on the legs at your quarterback position, because when the quarterback's in the gun, he's more of a threat as well. So there's a lot of ifs that go into it, or what is the best situation for us to be in. To answer your question, we're going to have the ability to do both.
Coach, can you talk about Marcavis Lewis and Dexter Weidman both? What have you seen in this offseason that you liked, and what are their roles against Vanderbilt?
Well, Quay Lewis is a guy that's going to play both end and tackle for us. He can rush inside. He brings some athleticism. He brings some experience and a talent level. And, and Dexter right now we're repping inside. And, he's behind some guys right now, but just needs to continue to work hard.
Coach, do you have a kickoff guy yet?
Elliott Fry.
Elliott Fry.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you've got Orr listed at each linebacker starting position. Is that something you're going to get a feel for this week, or is it just going to be a lot of rotation in the game?
Well, being able to get the best guys involved at different looks. TJ can play inside. He can also play the Sam position for us. Bryson and Alan Williams can play both Mike and Will for us. And John's, been more of just a Mike for us, and TJ can play all three positions. So, to me, it's about finding the best combination of guys. And, I have a pretty good comfort level with all those guys playing and playing well. Chris Moody, since we moved him from safety, has played the Sam for us and has played, well. But, we go back to who practices well. Because I'm young, but I am old-fashioned, that you will play like you practice. So the guys that go out and practice well, those are the guys that get to play. And the guys that don't practice well, they stand with me. So that's kind of what we do.
What's your greatest concern about defending Ralph Webb?
Well, he's a bounce runner. His outside stretch plays, I think, is his best run. He's got really good vision to cut the ball back, but he sticks his foot in the ground. He gets the ball north-south. I think it's all about, fundamental defensive football, of keeping your head in your gap, doing your job. Don't do anything outside of what you need to do, and just doing your job. We're going to need to tackle well, which when we did have live tackling in camp, I thought we tackled extremely well. So that's one of the things that, he runs through contact extremely well. I think he's got really good vision, and they get the ball to him on the outside stretch play. To me, has been his best run that I've seen over the last couple of years.
Coach, was the plan all along to not name a starting quarterback? And can you describe some of the advantages and disadvantages of not naming a starter before the season?
Well, I think that certainly if I felt like somebody had been head and shoulders above the other guys, then certainly we would have probably named the starter. I don't know that we've seen that, and I think that the skill set of all three guys, they offer a little bit of a different skill set for us at the quarterback position. So I think that obviously from a preparation standpoint, looking at it from the outside, it is a little frustrating to be able to, who are we getting ready to play, because they are a little different skill set as far as what we've put on film with those guys.
Will, you said several times since December that this team is who its record is, and that's what it was, 3-9 last year. Do you feel any pressure at all to, if any, to get this team back on the winning track as quickly as possible?
Absolutely. I mean, but there's no more pressure than I'm going to put on myself. It's not coming from the external circumstances. I can assure you of that.
Coach Colin Kaepernick, the talk of the sports world. Do you have a policy for your players during the national anthem?
Well, as an American citizen, I would be extremely disappointed if one of our players did not stand during the national anthem. But certainly that's their right, and I would have a discussion with the player to find out what his beliefs were, and understand where he was coming from. So, but as an American citizen, I would be extremely disappointed.
John?
With Rico gone, does that change anything that you're going to do on special teams with regard to Fenton and Lamons being there, since cornerbacks kind of taking a little bit of a hit?
No, again, that's a game-changing moment as far as a punt return is concerned, or a kickoff return is concerned, and those guys are good players, and our best players will play on special teams.
Anything else for Coach?
All righty, thank you.